number of participants really speaks volumes in terms of enthusiasm, and we are more than happy to share insight into the ins and outs of Google Summer of Code. So we will be going through a few important topics today, such as what GSoC is, how to apply and prepare for it, the best practices to follow during the participation, and the opportunities that follow post-participation. The real highlight of this session would be the success stories, which will be shared by some of our fellow colleagues who have taken part in GSoC previously. So before we move forward, I would like to mention a few points. There will be two links which would be shared with you in the chat. One of those links is for a Google form to gather your feedback regarding the session. And the other will be for a Slack channel invitation where we will be sharing all sorts of important updates regarding GSoC. So please be kind enough to go through those. Also, there will be a Q&A session towards the end. So if you have any questions, please ask them during that time slot. And to get things started, I would like to hand over the session to our Chief Technical Officer here at SEF, Angela. Please go ahead.
Thank you, Desir. Let me share my screen. Oh, hello, everyone. I hope you guys can see my screen. Hi, I'm Angela. I'm currently working as a Quality Assurance Fellow at OpenMRS. And also I did Google Summer of Code last year under OpenMRS as well. So under my session, I will be explaining what is Google Summer of Code, the goals of Google Summer of Code, the timeline, and what are the eligibility requirements. So let's start. First of all, we need to understand what is open source. So open source software is the computer softwares where the source code is distributed under the open source license that allows anyone to study, change, improve, and distribute the software. So basically, anyone around the world can access this code. They can improve them. They can use them on their projects and can study them, can improve them, distribute them under this open source license. So GSoC will be the main focus of GSoC is to get more people into open source. So now that we know what is open source, let's move on. So yeah, what is Google Summer of Code? So Google Summer of Code is an online international program that is designed to encourage new contributors around the world to participate in open source software development. So each of these open source development projects will have a mentor from that mentoring open source community. So you will get guidance from these mentors throughout your project. So that is Google Summer of Code. Let's move on. So let me explain a little bit more about Google Summer of Code. I will be referring to it as GSoC moving forward. So as I said, GSoC is a global program that is focused on bringing more contributors into open source world. And this GSoC is basically open for anyone who's older than 18 years. And so GSoC will have two main size projects. One of them will be medium sized, which will require approximately like 175 hours. And we will be having large size project hours, large size project as well, which will require approximately 350 hours. So usually the coding period for GSoC is 12 weeks, which will be suit enough for a medium-sized project. But since now we have these large-size projects, you can discuss with your mentor of that project, and you can extend that 12-week period up to 22 weeks if they gave you the approval. So now the timeline is kind of flexible. So now you can communicate with your mentor and request for more time if you cannot make it within 12 weeks. So yeah, and as I said, you will be getting a mentor from that organization to guide you along the project, and also you will get a stipend for this project for completing this project successfully. I will explain this a bit later. Yeah, so the goals of this GSoC program is to get more new contributors into this open source software development. And also, one of the goals is to help open source project to become new excited developers to involve their communication towards the programmers. And also, one of the goals of GSoC is to give these new contributors exposure to real-world software development scenarios. It could be testing, it could be documentation, it could be software licensing, distribution, development, such as etc. And also, yeah, one of the most important thing of goal, one of the most important goal of GSoC is to create more open source softwares so that everyone can use them and improve them. So how does GSoC work? So first of all, what happens is the Google is going to announce that they are going to have this Google Summer of Code this year, the following year. Once they announce it, the open source software projects starts applying for be a mentor organization. Then Google go through this application of the organization, then they will decide who are going to be the these mentoring organizations. So last year we had 198 mentoring organizations. Once that mentoring organizations are selected, contributors can start their submitting their proposal to these organizations. Then these mentor organizations will go through your proposals, and if they like your solution, they will accept you. So once you accept to work on one of these mentor, and he will be helping out throughout your project, and then you will be start working on that project, which will be 12 weeks, or you can take it up to 22 weeks. So here's the timeline for this year. So if you take a look at the timeline, as you can see, now the organization applications are closed since it's past February 7th. And by the 22nd of February, you will be able to see who are the organizations that are going to participate this year. And by March 20th, you can start submitting your proposals. Can start writing your proposals as soon as possible. I mean, after the programs, the mentoring organizations are announced. So yeah, then after in like March, you will be able to see who are got selected for these projects, and after that you will be having this community bonding period with your relevant organization, where you can talk to more people, you can talk to your mentor, you can get clarified things that you need to get clarified, so that you can start coding by May 29th. So yeah, by May 29th, you will start working on your coding, or if your 2 weeks are done as a successful one or not. I'm currently getting a message that no, my network is unstable. Can you guys still hear me?
We can hear you.
All right. So, and if your project is a large size project, you will get the final submission will be November 6th. So this is the timeline for this year. Let's move forward. So yeah, so let's take a look at what are the eligibility requirements. The main requirements is that you need to be over 18 when you are registering for the program. And you can be a beginner for open source. You can be a student, you can be whatever, it doesn't matter. And you have not been previously accepted into GSoC more than once. And also another eligibility requirement is to not to be a resident of a USD embargoed country. Another one is you need to be eligible to work in the country in which you will reside during the coding period. So I think most important eligibility requirements will be the first three. The rest of won't be a problem for Sri Lanka, but yeah. So throughout your program, you will be having two main evaluations. One of them is the midterm evaluation, and the last one will be your final evaluation. So the midterm evaluation, as the name suggests, it will going to be at the middle of the project, which will be the week or 6th week if your project is a medium-sized one. Let's say once you are done with this, once you got passed the midterm evaluation, you will get 45% of your stipend. And I forgot to mention that a medium-sized project will get $1,500 USD, and a large-size project, which is like the double, it will get like $3,000. And yeah, so once you pass the midterm evaluation, you will get 45% of your stipend, and the rest will be received once you are finished with your final evaluation, which will be the end of the program. Yeah, so at the conclusion of GSoC, you will be submitting your code, and it can be shown, it will be displayed on the site, and everyone can see your project, and of course they can use them as well. So yeah, these are some useful links you can use to get more insight about GSoC. And yeah, and thanks for listening. If you guys have any question, just drop them on chat, then we can answer them towards the end of the Q&A session. Yeah, now I'll be handing over to GShock to go over the application process. Over to you, GShock.
Thanks, Angela. Let me share my screen quickly. Extra 2. All right, hope you can see my screen. Okay, so yeah, thanks, Angela. So I'm GShock, you're seeing her. I'm product quality engineering lead at OpenMRS, and also I'm working as a GSoC admin this year. So I have been a mentee twice, and also I have mentored 2 GSoC projects, and this year I'm working as a GSoC admin for OpenMRS. So now, do you have an idea about how this overview about this GSoC program? The most important part of this process, the GSoC journey, is the application process. So because like this will let you decide whether you can continue or not, right? So the application process is super simple. It's just 3 steps, right? The first one is identifying a suitable project. Right? The second one would be preparing a project proposal, and the last is you have to submit your proposal. So in order to submit, in order to find a suitable project, you can go through the organization list. Currently, like the organization are not yet published, so you can just visit Google, just Google for GSoC 2022 organization, and you will end up with this list, right? You can see the list, right? Actually, could you please confirm? You can see the GSoC organization screen, right? Yeah. So yeah, within this list, you can like there will be multiple organizations. Under those organizations, there will be some sort of project ideas, right? As an example, I will pick OpenMRS here from this list. Okay, here, and it will load a new page with like it will let you know what are the technologies OpenMRS use. And it will display, there's a button to display list, view the idea list, right? When you are like picking a project, make sure that it matches your relevance. It is kind of a project that is related to your skill set and your goals and stuff, right? So within that ideas list page, you can see several project ideas are listed, and there are some mentors and backup mentors are already assigned. And you can find some description there as well, right? So once you pick a project, then you have to prepare a project proposal, right? So this proposal is kind of, at the end of the day, it will be just a PDF document, right? So a document. So the template depends on the organization, but like most of the time, they will provide the template, right? They will provide kind of a template, but not a full complete template, but they will provide some sort of questions, right? That's depends on the organization you pick, right? So let's talk about the key elements of this proposal, right? I will say you can divide this into two main parts, your application. The first one is about yourself, right? Explain about yourself, right? So you can have your background and your skill set, and also like your previous contributions to the community, or maybe for some other organizations, maybe PR links or whatever. Like add those relevant details, because as a mentor or as an organization, we want to know like who you are, right? Because like we need to decide whether like you fit into this project and you have relevant skill set that we are looking for. The next thing would be so now we have the about section, and the next thing would be the proposal, right? Now we are talking about the application. So in this application, you can, I would say like there will be three main steps. First one is the requirement, the design, and the implementation. Like this is just a structuring idea, all right? So the requirement is the problem that you are trying to solve, right? So this might be, like you can go through the maybe documentations, you can ask questions in the organization, you can join meetings, and you need to try to understand what's the problem that you are going to solve, right? Otherwise you can't write a proposal. So then you can like document all your findings, right? Come up with your findings. Maybe you can like identify what are the people, stakeholders who are using to use this system, and what are their goals, and you can document them. Maybe you can use some diagrams and try to identify the functional requirements and maybe non-functional requirements, and try to prioritize them, and so on, right? So basically you need to try to understand the problem, and also you need to demonstrate your findings there. The next thing is the design. Let me go into the slide. So next thing is the design. So design is the solution. Now you know what's the problem. Now you need to come up with your solution, right? So if it is a UI related, UI oriented project, then you can come up with some set of wireframes or maybe mockups or whatever, and maybe you can use some UML diagrams to explain your problem. There's a solution, right? How how you are going to address that problem, right? Then you can come up with it as a section on your proposal. The next thing is the implementation. That means how you are going to execute this one. How you are going to implement the solution that you have provided, right? So in there you can come up with some maybe some sort of code samples, or you can document what are the tools and technologies that you are going to use. I'm planning to use this library because I think, and so on, right? So then you can document them, right? You're trying to give the idea that you know this whole process, you are identify the problem and you have a solution and you know how to implement it. You are trying to give that idea to the person who is going to review this application, right? So then as a part of this implementation, you can come up with a timeline as well, right? So then you can say you can structure your project into several chunks and say within first month, you are trying to deliver this, you are doing to that, and so on, right? So you can properly document them. So we can go through an example proposal quickly. So this is one of the best proposals we received last year. It's from Vimal. He will talk to you in a couple of minutes. So yeah. Let's just quickly look into the table of contents here. So Vimal has explained about his background, about an OpenMRS experience, and he came up with the proposal. So this is the proposal part. It has the requirement, a design, and also an implementation detail, right? So here, he have listed all his open source contributions and his previous PRs to OpenMRS, 42 PRs. So, and kind of a proposal, now he's talking about the background of the project and a requirement elicitation, and finally try to came up with some set of requirements and also prioritization and design, right? So there are some sort of wireframes, and finally there's an implementation chapter which has sample payloads and some code samples, right? So, and finally the timeline. So that here, he have structured all the how he is going to deliver this project within this given 3 months. Right, so these resources will be shared at the end of the session, and as just Desiree said, you can join the Slack channel. We'll share all the relevant documents there. And so yeah, now you have a proposal, right? So what are the things that you need to consider within this whole application process? First thing is start early. You have to submit this. If you go through the timeline, you can see you have to submit, I guess, on April 4th, right? So don't wait until the last moment. It takes time to gather these requirements and write this proposal. So just start early. And also these organization may have their own templates and structures, ways to structure this proposal. So read the guidelines carefully, right? The next thing is go through this whole and research the whole thing, right? And also try to showcase you are relevant to this project and you are kind of a good candidate and you have relevant skill set that the mentors are looking for, right? And try to demonstrate your passion towards this project. Also make sure that it is well structured and well written, the proposal, and also get it proofread by a mentor, right? And specifically try to find a project that has a responsive mentor, because you need to go work with the mentor in order to finalize it, maybe get some feedback and stuff, right? So yeah, those are the main things that you need to consider on like writing a proposal within the proposal period. So as a recap, so we went through these steps and like we talked about some key elements of the proposal and how to write a successful application. So there's a lot more, right? You need to do. I mean, like within this GSoC period, there are some stuff you need to consider. So Vimal is on the call, I guess. Yeah. So Vimal will explain what are these the things that you should do and also you shouldn't do. So over to you, Vimal.
Yeah, thank you, Jasankar. Let me share my screen. Okay. So hello everyone. I'm Vimal Ratnayaka. I'm currently working as a quality assurance fellow at OpenMRS, and also I have been a GSoC student twice at OpenMRS, the same organization, in 2021 and 2022. So in this small session, I will briefly cover what you should do to prepare for GSoC, and I will be discussing some of the key steps you can take to increase your chances of getting selected for the program. So I'll be talking on each of these key points. And by the end of this session, you will have a clear understanding about what it takes to be successful in GSoC. So the first one is familiarize yourself with program. So before everything, requirements and structure, application process, and also the timeline. So for that, you can use their official website and also ask from past GSoC students. And you can also refer to their blog posts. And apart from that, you can attend to sessions like this. So doing this can help you plan the rest of the things and get ready for the program. So Jayasankar and Anjul explained very well about those things in last two segments. So keep those things in your mind, and let's move into the next key point. So here, the second key point is building a portfolio. So why do you need a portfolio? For them that you are skillful and you have experience, and also you are willing to take the maximum of that opportunity. So when you apply, they usually go through your GitHub profiles and also LinkedIn profiles, and check whether that you are familiar with those technologies and if you are skillful. So keep those profiles up to date and use those platforms to demonstrate your skills. Also, you can contribute to other open source projects and other open source organizations and projects such as what we have in Sustainable Education Foundation. And while you can learn and follow the open source best practices, it's better if you can keep your projects public if possible. So basically that's how you can show that you have good skills and good experience. For example, when someone is reviewing an application, they will go through a GitHub profile, and so they will realize that this person is familiar with these kind of technologies and he uses these kind of best practices, and so that will be a plus point for your application. Next, we need to choose and matching organization. So as you know, you can create 3 project applications for GSoC. It can be for a single organization or maybe 2 or 3 different organizations. But what I personally suggest is choose one organization and give your maximum effort on that organization, because it would be a bit hard for you to if you're applying for multiple organizations, it would be a bit hard to manage your time and resources. But it is possible if you have enough time. So after the organizations are announced, you can go through that organization list on GSoC official site, and you can start researching on the project they offer. And at the moment, the organizations are not announced, so you can use the 2022 organization list, because usually most of the organizations apply for this year's program as well. And this organization should be mentioned earlier. So then you can see the technologies they use and what kind of projects they offer, and also you can go through their past projects and their code base, and also their communities and forums. So consider their methods of communication as well. They might have revealed the list of potential projects on their website as well. So after all, what you have to do is choose the best organization which is more suitable according to the things I said earlier. So the next thing is, this is the most important thing you have to do. So you need to interact with the community. So if you just apply for a project at the last moment without doing any interactions with that organization, there is a higher chance of being rejected. That's because most of these organizations usually use a marking rubric when reviewing your application. So in that rubric, they dedicate a significant amount of points for these community interactions. So if you don't interact with the community, you will lose that points, and your application will be rejected. So after choosing an organization, you need to join their community platforms and also their discussion forums, and also you can join their meetings as well. And then since these organizations are open source, they have public meetings which you can freely join, which anyone can freely join. So join those meetings and introduce yourself. You have to tell them that you are really interested in this organization, and tell them why you chose that organization, and also let them know that you are eager to contribute their projects. So these are important things, but these things alone are not enough. So you need to keep contributing throughout the application period, even before the application period starts. So basically, you can set up the development environment and get yourself assigned to introductory tasks and issues. Then you can work on those tasks, and also create pull request and work on the issues. And also you can review other contributors' work as well. This part will be a bit hard at first, because you are new to that organization, and you don't have much idea about that organization. So most of the people just give up and just disappear in this stage. So don't do that. Always discuss with the organization members and find things to work on and clarify everything. So then if you are interested in some project, join the relevant teams and squads, and you can discuss with them and get everything clarified. And you can say that you are interested with this certain project, and you can tell them that the ideas and suggestions you have. So for that, use their discussion forums and their meetings as much as possible. And you can also discuss about those things with the project mentor, and you can request their help to create the project proposal. So, and another thing is make sure that you do all those communications in public, so you can include those things in a project proposal, the relevant threads and discussion forums. You can include those links. So as everyone said, start. They will know that you are really interested in certain project, and you will have a better chance of getting selected for that project. And the last thing is staying organized. So make sure to keep track of these important dates, deadlines, and requirements of the program, because you don't want to miss such an opportunity because you forgot to submit your application on time. Okay, that's basically what I have to tell. So let's do a small recap before ending my session. We were talking about how to prepare for GSoC. The first thing is familiarize yourself with the program, so you need to get to know about everything and clarify about everything. And then you need to build a portfolio so you can show that you are skillful and experienced. And then you need to choose a matching organization. And also you need to interact with the community and also network with the community because you need to let them know that you are really interested and you are really qualified for this project. And meanwhile, you can improve your knowledge on the technologies related to this chosen project. The final one is staying organized. So these are the main things you need to keep in mind and follow when I can assure that if you follow these things correctly, you will have questions. Just ask them through the chat box so we can answer them at the Q&A session. So you have plenty of time to prepare. So start by now, and I wish you good luck to all of you. So next, we have Grace, Director of Product at OpenMRS, to talk about best practices you need to follow during the Google Summer of Code program. Thank you.
So yeah, I think Grace was unable to join in person, so I'll share recording that she shared with us.
Hi, I'm Grace Potma. I'm Director of Product at OpenMRS, and I'm so excited that you're here today to learn about contributing to GSoC and maybe even specifically joining us in the OpenMRS community. Here are some things that we've noticed tend to result in a successful GSoC project. First of all, how should you be communicating with your mentors? Well, it depends on the people, but whatever works best for the two of you to communicate clearly and consistently. For example, I've worked with some folks who love using WhatsApp for work messages. Other folks will sometimes use weekly one-on-ones. But if you do that with your mentor, make sure that you come prepared with your own agenda and list of issues or questions that you've been facing. That'll really help your mentor understand how best to support you so that neither of you are wasting your time on those one-on-ones. Some folks will set up a Slack group in our community specifically about their project, and that helps their mentors, both the primary and backup, and anyone else interested to join that project communication and just see what's going on and share feedback with the mentee. But the key thing here is just don't wait. Mentors want to help you, but then they need to know early what you are struggling with. A great example of this is PRs. So obviously doing PRs is a must, but early draft PRs are much better than last minute PRs. And in fact, to be honest, last minute PRs often, if they're done at the end of your project, they may not get finished. So we really recommend early drafts in small pieces as you go, because then your mentor can give you really specific feedback. And make sure you do review that feedback because they've taken the time to go through your work carefully. How to communicate with the community? Well, make sure that you're demoing your work often. You don't have to feel like you need to sit there in silence. We want to hear about what you are doing, why you're so excited about it, what's interesting. And there's a whole bunch of different ways that you can share that information with our community. For example, we have a community forum called OpenMRS Talk. We've got Slack channels and squad calls. In fact, in OpenMRS, each GSoC project has a specific relevant squad or community group working on a related theme, and you can become known to that group. You basically get the support of colleagues around you who are working on similar pieces of software, and so you gain more peer support. It also means that when you are demoing regularly and communicating what you're doing regularly, it helps with two things. Number one, it helps prevent accidental overlap where people are doing similar or sometimes the same thing by accident, but it also helps you to get more feedback really quickly. And that way you can make sure that the work that you're putting into GSoC is stuff that community members and real world users are really excited about. And finally, an added bonus is that we've found that the folks who are the best at communicating with the community and showing what they're doing do tend to be the folks that get followed up with afterwards about potential job opportunities. So make sure you get known to your squad and that you're sharing what you're working on. And how to manage time effectively and stay on track. Well, you might have heard this phrase before, but how do you eat an elephant? One bite at a time. This commonly used phrase means that when a task seems really big, the way to finish it is to break it down into smaller pieces. Of course, you have to do that as part of your GSoC application to break things down. If you're finding that one particular piece is really hard, that's a great example of where your mentor and peer support in the community can help you. So make sure you're breaking down your plan regularly, but also make sure that you're reviewing your plans regularly with your mentor and with the community. Like when you demo, you can explain, sure, here's what I've done, and here's how I'm planning to handle it next. And the reason this is so important is because it'll help others to catch potential architectural issues early on, and it can save you work. If folks go, actually, you know what? I know of a way easier way to implement that. So make sure that you use that communication frequently. We're so excited to meet you. Thanks for watching and good luck on your GSoC journey.
Hey guys, so yeah, I think the next part is for me. So I'll probably talk about what sort of benefits that you would get after doing GSoC. So so many benefits and opportunities that arise because you participate in Google Summer of Code. I personally gained a lot as well. So some of the things, general things are like definitely because it's an open source project, your code will be public. So that means you have a project that you have contributed publicly and you can share it with anyone for job opportunities. And like if you're applying for, let's say, PhDs, etc., you can show that that you have coding experience. So this is one of these projects, programs that you can create something valuable used by widely by who are using this open source project, and you can have that kind of impact in the world as well. So another thing is that you get to get mentored by world-class developers. I think so the whole open source community is very friendly and want to develop the next generation of open source contributors. So that means they'll help you with your code quality, how to manage projects, Git repos, etc., and also like how to make a pull request, all the best practices while you're doing open source contributions. So if you are a programmer, developer, this is like the best place for you to sort of learn these skills. And since everybody is helping you out, you get to learn in a very friendly environment. So those are some of the basic benefits that you would get from the program. Apart from that, you definitely get a good stipend. So I think the maximum that you can go in Sri Lanka is 3,500 USD. So that means it's a significant amount. I think with the current conversion, it's like around 1 million LKR, and you can use that to invest in whatever you want, whether to buy a new MacBook, whether to, I don't know, invest in stock market, whatever you want to do. So there's a lot of benefits for with this financial contribution as well. So apart from that, so if you contribute really well to the organization, some organizations select students to go to the Google sort of open source summits, like there's the Mentor Summit, the GSoC summits. So they'll fund your trip to go to Google, which is in the California office. So you can go there and like engage. So in my time, this happened as well. So apart from this, you can get really good referrals. So open source projects are managed by different people all around the world, people from like Google, like MIT, Stanford, like professors who are contributing to the code as well as developers. So you get to work with these people, and they'll, if you do a great job, they'll write you good referral letters, and this will open up so many doors for you. So apart from this, you get to work on projects that are like really groundbreaking. So there's like the CERN, the particle accelerator. So they have open source projects, so you can contribute directly to like groundbreaking physics work. NASA has open source project, which is part of Google Summer of Code. MIT has. So you get to contribute directly to these code bases and get the exposure that you need. So also, if you are a machine learning person, there's TensorFlow, the Python work, and so many other open source projects that you can directly contribute. So there's a lot of opportunity for you to sort of explore and contribute directly to these great projects. So apart from that, I think it improves your communication skills. I think the fact that you have to present your work, document your work, and so that indirectly, it will make sure you are a well-rounded developer, not just somebody who knows theory, maybe can code a little bit, but it makes you a very well-rounded developer. So that is very important when you go to industry, when you start a job. That's really important, and GSoC makes sure of that. And if you have successfully completed GSoC, that is a good signal for a future recruiter to know that this person can complete a project which is highly technical and communicate really well and manage to complete within a 3-month period or 3.5 month period. So this gives an edge for general sort of undergraduates who's coming out to the market, to differentiate yourself from someone else. So because I assume like most of the people who join this call are developers, like doing software engineering, IT related degrees. So that means you can be special when it comes to recruitment process. And if you have a complete GSoC project, I mean, don't quote me on this, but I have I can guarantee that it's very easy to find a job. It's really easy to find a job because you have done a project in the real world, and that means the recruiters will be quite interested in having you because you have got the experience. They don't have to train you the initial 6 months of the 1 year. So that's a good indication if you want to start something. So yeah, this is some of the things that that would benefit you after the Google Summer of Code, and yeah, you will be contributing to open source, which is, I think, the joy of it all. I think most of the developers enjoy contributing, writing code, and putting out there for people to use, improving software out there. So I think that's the core of it and what we're looking for. And I mentioned like some of the external other factors that it goes beyond like what is the main goal of Google Summer of Code. So yeah, so this is some of the things that you can gain from Google Summer of Code. Yeah, I'll hand it over to Desira.
Yeah, sure. Thank you, Akshika. Now we have arrived at the aforementioned highlight of the session. In this segment, previous Google Summer of Code participants will be going through their respective first-hand experience they received from taking part in GSoC. First up would be Kumudita. He will be sharing his experience. Please go ahead, Kumudita.
Yeah, thank you, Desira. Hope you can hear me. Yeah, so I'm Kumudita Kanaratna. I'm currently an undergraduate student at IIT, second year. So, and also I work as a software engineer at SEF. And I participated in GSoC last year with OpenMRS organization. I joined OpenMRS in 2020. At that time, I started my contributions by contributing to their QA framework, where we wrote end-to-end tests for the application. And then talking about my GSoC project, so OpenMRS basically is a medical record system. So the application has various places where it needs forms. So OpenMRS uses a form builder to create forms. Till last year, they were using a form builder that was created by an external implementer. And its interface, it had various issues like the interface and its functions. So my project was to recreate the form builder as a micro frontend for the OpenMRS 3. And talking about my experience with the project, working on a project that is so important to an organization while learning new things with professionals in the industry was a really great experience. And the mentors, the community are really, really helpful. They're always there for you if there's any issues, and they will always help you to sort out those issues. And talking about challenges, I had a big challenge when after our proposals are accepted and mentors and the community give feedback for the proposal. So then we have to rearrange our project like with the feedback we get. And it was a bit challenging at first, but after it's done, it was really easy to continue with the project. And finally, I completed my project successfully in September last year. With all the requirements that I mentioned in my proposal at first. So yeah, it was truly a unique experience. It helped me to learn new technologies, connect with new people, community, as well as to know how an open source community functions. So yeah, that's my story. Thank you for listening, and wish you all the best on your GSoC journey. Over to you, Desiree.
Thank you, Kumalita, for sharing your experience with us. Our next speaker will be Heshan. Heshan Andrews.
Hey, you guys can see me, right?
Yes.
See and hear me both. Yeah, all right. So yeah, to introduce myself, I'm Heshan, and I did my GSoC project in 2021 in OpenMRS, the same year as Vimal. So we did the GSoC projects together. And to talk, I mean, because Kumudit earlier talked about like the experience of doing GSoC, I'll talk about like what are the opportunities that might present themselves after you finish your GSoC project. So for me personally, I think I gained a lot because I managed to get into. It says my internet connection is unstable.
Maybe you can turn off the video, Heshan. I think it's
Oh yeah, maybe. And it's a bloody power cut here. Sorry about that. So yeah, I'll talk about like the advantages that you might get after completing your GSoC project. So the first thing, so I wrote down some points here in my notepad to talk about. So I'll categorize them into two categories as resume points and then like basic engineering points that you can gather. So as resume points, you can actually get noticed pretty well. Like Akshika mentioned earlier, like you sort of have an edge over like other undergraduates that might graduate eventually and try to go into the job market. You get an edge over them because you have that on your resume. So you have your GSoC project, and it's some sort of a proof that you can actually finish up a project. You can take up on a task and finish it up. So it's the same set of skills that you use to complete or get into your GSoC project that might transfer onto your software engineering job eventually. So that's a plus. So you can get noticed. It's easier to gather more resume points with your GSoC project while you're still being an more opportunities or like some position for you to work at, those doors kind of get open once you've done
like done with your GSoC project, when you successfully finish that up, like that's another possibility that you have to, so that so this sort of acts like a gateway, so that you can like get get a lot far ahead than other undergraduates in the same league as yours. So that's another plus point. So those are the resume points that I have. So then I'll move on to like engineering points. So the engineering points, what I mean by engineering points is that the experience that you get while doing an actual software engineering project in a real world organization where it actually makes an impact. And so one of the things that benefited me a lot is that it kind of made me wait, let me put it in a different way. So it once you've done your GSoC project, it makes it a bit easier for you to get into like existing code bases, because when you first get into that organization, you don't really know like what's going around. You don't know the overarching problem that this organization is trying to solve, or you don't know about your project either. Like you're going to like it's sort of a learning experience, and in a meta sense, like you get to learn like the skills that you need to learn those stuff. It's the same same set of skills that you need like when you get into another organization or some company someplace else. When you eventually get hired, like those skills really come in handy. So those are the engineering points that you can gather up with this experience that you get in GSoC. And then you can actually solve like real world SE problems, and you can you know speak with your mentor and you know get mentored by them properly in the literal sense of the word. Like you can actually get mentored properly. So that's another thing. You can learn how to you know make a good pull request, how to you know make issues, how to communicate. So all of that, I think this is one of the rare opportunities that you have, especially here in Sri Lanka, for especially software engineers to get like a well-rounded experience before you even get into like the actual you know hiring phase of your life, where you get into the job market and you're just in the industry. So at that, when you get to that point, you already have this experience. So that's one of the plus points. So yeah, and to talk about the proposal period as well, like earlier Chaya mentioned that like the proposal might be the most important part of like getting into GSoC. And it's not only about getting into GSoC, because when you pick up an idea from the idea list that organization has provided, when you pick that up and try to you know find the requirements and then design a solution and then implement that solution, that's that writing that proposal in itself it tends to make you a better software engineer in a way that that you kind of it's sort of an exercise that lets you let you like practice the skill of like coming up with a good solution. It's a so you can use that same concept of like finding the requirement, designing a solution, like thinking about how you're going to implement it. You can use up the same thing even when you get into like your first software engineering job. When you get assigned to your first task, it's the same like the steps, let's say a set of steps that you have to follow. So it's a really good opportunity. I hope you guys are excited to you know apply this year. Like even if you don't really think that you can get in, even if you don't think like you have the experiences, try to just pick an idea and try to devise a solution and submit a proposal. That in itself might provide you what you need to you know just get the ball rolling in terms of being a good software engineer. So that's it for me. Good luck everybody, and thank you for like inviting me to give this speech. Yeah, thank you.
That was very insightful, Heshan. Thank you for that. We will be moving on to our final speaker, Hasita.
Yeah, hello. Hope you can hear me.
Yeah.
And let me share my screen as well. Yep. And hope you can see my screen as well. Yeah. Let's get started. I'm Hasita Kaushan. I'm a co-lead of the contributor dashboard team of OPIA Foundation. And I'm also a GSoC 2022 participant. And I recently graduated from University of Moratuwa, Department of Electrical Engineering. Interestingly, I haven't done any computer science courses, but somehow I was able to take part in GSoC. So let's move on to what is OPIA, the organization that I worked. OPIA is an online learning tool that enables anyone to easily create and share interactive lessons. Teachers can create interactive lessons and students can log into the web application and take part those lessons and increase their knowledge in maths or science or whatever the subjects. And we have more than over 1 million users over the world, including the regions like Brazil and some of the African nations like Ghana, and some of the Asian nations like Afghanistan and so on. And moving on to next, the contributor dashboard, the team that I worked, the contributor dashboard allows volunteers to submit translations to lessons because as I said, OPIA has dozens of lessons, and we have like several users from different regions that speak different languages, so that we need to translate our lessons into different languages. In order to facilitate that, we have the contributor dashboard as a part of the project, and then users can submit practice questions as well for the lessons. And then there is another set of users like reviewers who can review the translations or practice questions, then accept or reject those contributions. So yeah, this is the contributor dashboard. As you can see, this is where translators can translate lessons for any lesson that they like. And this is the question submission tab. There contributors can submit practice questions for any topic or skill. And then we have my contribution tab where you can see a list of summary of the contributors translations or question submissions or reviews that they have done. And we used Python as our backend in our backend, and Angular in the front end, and Google Cloud Storage, Cloud Data Store as the database. And moving to my GSoC project, my project was about contributor recognition infrastructure. Our main goals were to allow contributors to see their stats of their contributions, and to award them badges for achieving milestones, and allowing them to generate a certificate for their contribution. Basically, using gamification techniques in order to increase the involvements of contributors and to reward them. My project was a complete full stack project that I built from the scratch, from finalizing the requirements and making mocks and getting them approved, and then adding backend storage models and the relevant backend services and the controllers, and creating new Angular components and adding Angular services, and then fully covering my code base that I added in the backend and front end using unit tests, and finally writing a Beam job to initiate models for contributors' existing contributions. So as you can see, this accomplishment tab where I created as part of my GSoC project. So contributors can select the contribution type, whether the translation contribution, translation reviews, question contributions, or question reviews, and they can see their stats over here, and they can click this download certificate button, and they can generate a certificate like this. And also, as I mentioned before, this badges page, where they can see their milestone achievements as badges and the next milestone that they can achieve. And yeah, moving on to the benefits, the first and the best one is being able to own and deliver a production ready complete full stack project. So I don't think when we are at university, we usually do not get chance to work or deliver or actually on a production ready complete project, and then getting used to best practices from opening a PR to addressing comments and then writing clean and efficient code. We can get used to the best practices. And also one of the key things I got from working with OPI is I was able to interact and make relationship with software engineers and product owners from Google, because my primary mentor and the backup mentor both are from Google. And also when taking the requirements or getting approved for my mocks, I had to work with the product owners. They are also from Google. And yeah, my next point is the stipend. Yeah, I think for a medium-sized project, you will get around 1,500, and a large size project around 3,000 USD. And finally, I was able to get a contract from OPR to work with them even after the GSoC period. Yeah. And the tips, you can always start early, as the other speaker said, and go through the organization that participated in last year and select an organization that works with your tech stack. Because when I was getting started, I saw a lot of folks did machine learning stuff, but I was not familiar with machine learning. So I went to the Google Summer of Code website and filtered organization that matched my tech stack and selected few organization, and then I referred their GitHub repositories and tried to set up a project. And then I eventually was able to set up OPR project, and then I started working with them. And next tip is to look for good first issues and submit PRs for them. Actually, it shows that you are actually willing to work them, and you are like a responsible person to work with the organization. And then selecting a project that you are familiar and start drafting the proposal and get feedback from mentors as soon as possible. So get started with OPR. You can always check out this repository, OPR repository from the GitHub. Actually, I'm as a co-lead of contributor dashboard, and I also work with their onboarding team. And we have a set of like well-documented wiki that that allows users to get started easily. And also our onboarding team ensures that you have a smooth onboarding process. As soon as you get one PR merge, you will be onboarded into a team, and then you can work with the team and get into their meetings. And also I will be a mentor for the coming GSoC 2023. We have, for the contributor dashboard, we have drafted 3 projects and submitted for this year GSoC. So hope to see the guys here as well and to see their proposal. Yeah, I will be able to help you guys. And finally, thank you, and do let us know if you have any questions. Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, thank you, Hasita. So I hope you all gain some form of valuable insight by joining this session. The importance of taking part in an event like Google Summer of Code can't be stressed enough. By joining this session, you have taken the first step to being part of something of such value. I would like to mention a few things. At the start of the session, we shared a link to a Google form and an invitation link to a Slack channel. If you haven't gone through the process, please go ahead and do it. I will share it again. And before we wrap up the session, I would like to hand over the session to the audience. If you guys have any questions, please feel free to ask them.
You can either type them in or you can unmute yourself and speak. Yeah.
So let me answer like 2 questions I got directly. So one of the question was how many times a person can participate for GSoC. It can be a mentee 2 times. It can be a mentor afterwards. So you can only be you can be only 2 times be a contributor. And one of another question is this projects are individual or group projects? So these are going to be individual projects. Yeah, another one I got is how many people can participate in a project? Can we do it as a group? Yeah, no, this project needs to be done individually. Yeah, you can do it as a group as of now. Another question is how can we find a mentor before we get accepted for a project? So every organization will have a mentor assigned to a project when they are submitting these proposals for GSoC. So so you will be able to see who are the relevant mentor for a project before you apply. So then you can contact them. And also you can talk to these relevant communities to find out who's going to mentor the project if they haven't mentioned it somewhere.
Also, adding to Angela's answer, you can come up with your own ideas as well. If you have an idea for the community, you can draft an idea yourself, but you have to communicate with them, the community, and get assigned a mentor for the project.
Any more questions?
One person has asked me whether we have like a WhatsApp group or something. So we have a Slack channel to discuss any updates that are there regarding GSoC. So you can join the Slack channel and get started there.
Also, there's a direct message to me. Hi, how should I get myself familiarized with a new open source project? I think, yeah, you can if it is a I mean, if the project is new to you, usually open source communities have their documentation. That would be your first guide, get into that. And also usually they have weekly meetings. So you can join into them and there will be discussion forums. Sometimes it will be a mailing group, or there may be a discussion forum software they use. So get engaged there as well. So ask any questions that you have and try to join their conversations. Hope that answered your question.
Any more questions?
There's another one. If I'm new to open source contribution, that means 0 contributions, would it be feasible for me to try for GSoC this year? Yes, you still can, because like the deadline for applications is 7th of April. And I mean, like, you can go, I mean, you can start contributing now, right? So even like these 0 contributions, like start now. So this is the right time to start. So try to send like PRs to them, or like maybe as Vimal said, like try to find some smaller issues, right? And get assigned and try to send some PRs. So yeah, still you can do it.
Yeah, just to add to that, so you can start with like very small PRs. So my first PR was, I think I changed the sort of the color of a specific sort of button. So that was very small. Something like there are very small PRs that you can get started. So whatever you can. So there's another question, I think from Mohammed in Forest. I'm interested on ML projects, so which is best platform for that. So I think, I mean, ML is very broad. I think so. GSoC has so many projects that are related to open machine learning. So you can pick. I can mention some, like there's open series like for computer vision people. So if you're interested in that, you can contribute to that from our algorithm point of view. And there's TensorFlow. I think it might be a project that I've seen it in multiple years. And then obviously the fundamentals like Python, Pandas, things like that. Those are also open source that you can contribute. So depending on your requirements, so there's also stuff related to bioinformatics. So if that is something you're interested in. I haven't looked into NLP, but I'm sure there are a lot of NLP projects as well, natural language projects. So as I think Jai showed you earlier, you can go to like last year's sort of organization list. You can filter them based on the language, I think, specific domain. So there are like multiple options that you can filter them. So go to that project and see so many projects. So also like another tip that I can give is that sometimes organizations do not get selected the next year. So especially new organizations, they might not, but it's maybe it's safe to go for an organization which is more like has been doing this for a while, like Apache Foundation, OpenMRS, Wikimedia, like TensorFlow, things like that. So organization that has been doing for a while. So it's easier for you to get selected into organization like that, because you are sure that's going to be there for the next year. So yeah, so that's the feedback if you're interested in machine learning.
I have another direct message from WG. You guys mentioned that it would be better if we have participated in any open source project before. If I haven't done any of them before, how can I get into it? Where should I start? Can you give some guidance? So yeah, the answer would be, it would be, yeah, I mean, like it would be nice if you can have some experience before, but like, I mean, like it's okay to start with the organization that you are trying to apply for. So you can go through the organization list, even in Sri Lanka. So you have some open source communities in Sri Lanka as well. So as an example, let's say if we have an open source community there, like even you can start there maybe. And Lanka Software Foundation, there are several open source community in Sri Lanka as well. Maybe like I think Desira already shared the links to the Slack channel, and you can join the engineering team. Like if you like to join a SEF's open source community, yeah, I think that answered your question. There's another question from Avishka. It's not something directly related to Google Summer of Code, I joined this meeting through a link that a friend shared. How can I join with Sustainable Education Foundation? Ashika, would you like to give an answer?
Yeah, for sure. So yeah, this so SEF, there are multiple ways you can join. I think the best way is to try and join our Slack channel because that's where most of our communication happens. So there are multiple sort of groups that you can join. There's obviously the engineering team that was like part of this core, who maintains most of our open source code base, the website, our ScholarX platform, which is I think another thing that you should look at. So that will be a good starting point if you're interested in developing. Otherwise, there's also the management work that we do, like we're organizing different programs to mentor students, to connect with different, so for example, ScholarX program that we connect students with mentors from, let's say, Google, MIT, like different like top tier universities and companies. So you get to engage with those people as well. So there's opportunity in that domain. So if you're interested in like managing programs, leading teams, etc., there's opportunity. So join the Slack channel and drop one of us a message so we can get you involved in the meetings, like myself, GSoC, anyone in this call from SEF, drop them a message on Slack so we can connect you with the team that you want to be part of. So yeah, and also visit our website. There's a lot of information on that, like links to Slack, our sort of discourse channel, etc. So yeah.
That's another message from Len Weenie. Do we need to have a good coding knowledge to participate? And what programming languages are important here? Vimal, would you like to give an answer to that question?
Yeah, it depends on the organization because like let's say you know Java, so you can go to that organization list and find many organizations which use Java as their main language. Or if you know Python, then you can go through it and find many organizations that uses Python. So and if you don't have like any prior knowledge on programming languages, you can learn from beginning. And also you can use this Google Summer of Code for learning these new things. Also, you can join new things after getting selected as well. So I think you got your answer. GSoC, do you have anything to add?
Yeah, and even like there are maybe some projects that doesn't require any programming knowledge as well. As an example, some documentations there might be. So feel free to go through this organization, the list, project list, and yeah, there's a chance that there are some. I can remember that one of my friends completed a project that didn't require coding knowledge. So some sort of, yeah. So yeah. So we have someone raising hand. Yasmin Kadir-san. Go ahead, Yasmin.
Have we enabled voice?
Yeah, I
chat?
think I've enabled the question. You can unmute yourself and ask the question.
Yeah, or you can drop it on the chat.
Yeah, whatever it's easier.
Okay.
And Kamrit have shared the SEF handbook. You can go through that handbook. Everything is there. If you are willing to join us, I can go through the handbook and follow getting started guides there. Yeah.
Are there any other questions? If not, we can wrap up. can also take a photo, like something you can try.
Jason, can you
Yeah, how can we, I mean, there are 3 screens.
You
So
have to
you
take
put it
like
on like
individual
a,
screenshots each.
All right.
that's the plan. So yeah, guys, so I think we can wrap up now. So just before we close the meeting, can you like switch on your camera so we can get that screen grab? See a lot of future GSoC interns here, so that's awesome. Yeah. So guys, yeah, Jai can take
All
this
right.
screenshot, right? Yeah.
Yeah, okay. Smile. 1, 2, 3. All right.
Awesome. All right, guys, thanks a lot. Yeah, this is
Yeah. So I guess we can wrap up since there are no questions. Thank you all for joining and hope you have a great week.
thank you, everyone.
Bye. See you.
Carry on. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Good luck.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye.